I'm starting to get used to it. It's only been doing that for a year or two.
You guys can leave me out of this. I wasn't there, so leave me out of this.
I'm saying, you got anything you want to say? Speak up. We're here today with Bert Callier. He was with the Community Fire Protection District.
Yes.
In 1973. He's one of the guys that fought the NPRC fire. So, Bert, we'd always just start out asking you, where were you born, where'd you go to school, and when did you decide to become a firefighter?
Well, I was born at 8800 Tudor. That's where we lived for forever. Went right up the street 1 block to Our Lady of Presentation School. Got on the volunteers in 1949. And went from there. Well, I went into service and came back out and went on as a volunteer. They were volunteer till 56 probably. Then they had volunteer and paid. Then they finally went all paid in probably 57, I'm thinking. I don't really know.
So you said you were in the service. Tell us a little bit about your time, what branch, and...
I was in the Army, got drafted, and I was a cook.
Same thing.
I didn't go to Korea. I went to Germany, fortunately. So I went on the fire department in what did they say, 49. I think I was 17, and they had a driver's test when I was 18. That's just another story. It has nothing to do with the record center. But had a test on an old Continental Can Company. They had some stanchions up in the go-between brake and a few things. Well, it turns out I qualified. It was a Mack truck, open cab. 78? No, not 78. Well, I can't think of it now. Anyway, I qualified for it, and they told me though, it said, only in emergency will you drive. I said, okay. Well, I lived right within a block of our #1 house, and the alarm went off one afternoon. There was a guy up another block and a half away, ran a service station, but he had a little bit of a limp or something. I don't know what his problem was. It wasn't no big deal. But I used to get up there first, and I'd pull the truck out and write the address down on the chalkboard and pull the truck out, jump on the back. Well, this one day I decided, I seen this guy coming down the hill in his car. I run over, I didn't even have a car then. And I seen him coming down, and my younger brother Harry, he was on at the same time, and he was there. So I'm standing on the back, and I see him coming down. I says, Harry, this is the emergency they were talking about, I think. Not really an emergency. I guess I just wanted to drive. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I got up front and told Harry, get up here. So he got up there, and this guy come up, and he's all but shaking his fist at me, and I go like this, get on the back. And it would turn out it was just a weed fire, nothing to it. Anyway, that's how I got started there. And like I say, I went into service, came out, and I worked for a bake shop over in Overland. And I forget how it came about, but I ended up going down, I worked at a bake shop there. Then my older brother was on the fire department. He was paid. And he got wind that they was going to start hiring. So he says, go up there and get your application in. So that's what I did, and they hired me right away. Mostly because volunteer, I'm sure. But that's the story of my fire department. I've been on there, put 34 years on.
So that was 1950 something when you got hired?
54.
54 you got hired?
Yeah, December of 54.
Okay.
Well, my brother put me up to it. He says, get up there before the first of the year and you get a week's vacation right away. So that's what I did.
Sure.
But I retired in '88 and been sitting around ever since.
So what was your rank when you retired?
Battalion chief.
Okay.
Yeah. I went to, private, drove a pumper for, I don't know how many years, drove a ladder truck for, I don't know, it was 8 or 10 years. I made captain sometime in the 60s, I think it was. Or no, it was 70. Don't make any difference. But anyway, that's about the story of my fire department.
Okay, so with the Record Center fire, we know it started, it was about 12:15, July the 12th of 73. When did you guys ride up on it then?
Well, like I say, I was on our pumper 205 at the time. Of course, they didn't have those numbers, I don't think, back then. But anyway, it was out of Overland, and Overland, we were first in. And I don't know, I've seen all that. I might have passed out, I don't know.
So were you working the night?
Yeah.
That first night?
He came over there, and really when we first got there, it didn't look all that bad. But it didn't take long because that 6th floor was nothing but paper products. Files and files of all service people, their records stacked together. And to me, there wasn't you'd think there'd be a lot more fire. I wish there was quite a bit of fire, but most of it was just enough smoldering. And after we've got it out mostly, that ended up a part-time job for me for 2.5 years over there. And probably the first month was just putting out these boxes of records. Then after that, they had a fire watch. They had, I don't know, 4 or 5 of us, one for each floor, I think it was. Just walk around. And they had a contract with somebody, and that ran out. They got somebody else. The salary or the pay went down a little bit. That contract with them, whoever it was, that ran out. They got somebody else, and the salary went down a little bit more. And I said, I'll see ya.
So did you ever go into the building?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we went up. They had escalators there. Of course, they weren't working. Escalators looked like a creek, all the water running down. You couldn't hardly walk up there. The water was coming down so bad or so much. But no, I just went around with an 1.5 inch up there. Just a little burp, all this stuff, and it just took forever to do it.
So you were at 205, that was what, Community House 2?
Yes.
So what you had an engine and a ladder out of there?
Yes. Yeah.
And the night of the fire, you were on the engine, you weren't on the ladder?
No, I was on the pumper, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, then, I don't know, I'm sure we called for help, or somebody did. One of the chief officers probably got there and started making the calls. I don't recall.
Right.
Did you, the storage area that was on fire, did you ever actually go into that area?
Well, yeah, that whole 6th floor was like that. There was one area though, they had some kind of high level records in there. No, you ain't going in there. Well, it was closed up. I don't even think the fire got to that. But no, you ain't going in there. So that's fine.
The vault was fire resistant because I don't think anything's really fireproof. So yeah, they weren't letting anybody in there once the FBI and whoever else figured out this is where certain stuff is and nobody needs to.
Yeah, it was some high level stuff that they didn't want you even in the room, let alone looking at anything.
Do you remember, like, when you first got up to the 6th floor, the heat and everything?
Yeah, it was pretty good, but it developed a little more because you got to go up 6 floors with hose. You know, it takes a little time.
Sure.
And the ladder trucks, they were fine, but you can, well, from the pictures, they could only reach really a few feet in, it seems like. So, but no, it was kind of warm. Not that you couldn't stand it, but it was warm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Really smoky.
Oh yeah. Yeah, with all that cardboard and paper burning, threw off a lot of smoke.
And I guess then were you wearing a breathing apparatus?
Yeah, at that time they weren't Scots, we had Chemox. And they were fine for the time, I guess, but you had to activate them. You had to blow air into them and get this canister activated with the moisture of your breath. That's the way it was explained to me. But yeah, there was a lot of those. There were some departments had Scott. Well, you could see it there in the pictures. They had the Scott air packs already, but we didn't. I think it was shortly thereafter that we did get them.
And then just those, I guess they were like rubberized coats. They weren't rubberized. They were like a heavy canvas, like, you know. Oh, okay.
But they had a lining in them and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. What else?
How many? So that was the first night. You guys were there all night. How many days did you wind up spending there?
Well, to tell you the truth, I got relieved. And I had to take my boy to Boy Scout camp just for a day. They had something going. Did that, came back, that fire was still going. And I thought, you know, when I got relieved, I thought, well, I guess they think they're going to get it out. Well, they didn't. And the fire actually lasted, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 days at least. But then, like I say, they finally got the big stuff down, and then it was just a case of going around with a small hose hitting all the paperwork.
Do you have to go back any time over like the next month or so to put out any hot spots?
No, that's what I was getting paid for, this fire watch. I was taking my equipment and my coat, boots, helmet, and there were several of us. That's what we were doing. That's what we were doing, you know, putting out little spot fires. Mm-hmm. And tell you the truth, I don't even know what we were using for water. I don't know if I guess we had 1.5 inches up there. I really don't remember. But yeah, that lasted for, I know, a couple of weeks it seems like. But then we just stayed on and walked the floors after that in case something did come up again.
Mm-hmm. You remember any of the names of the guys that went with you?
No. They weren't all from community. It was a couple, I think, from community, but any of the departments that were there, the guys that, well, they had to submit their name and everything if they wanted to do that. But there was other departments represented there during that period of time.
So you mentioned St. Louis City got called for a ladder truck.
Yeah.
I guess that was something that usually didn't happen because there was no mutual aid. What do you remember about St. Louis City and their ladder truck showing up?
Well, they showed up. Didn't mean anything to me.
Right.
It's just, I guess at that time there wasn't that many ladder trucks around the county. I couldn't even tell you who all had them. West Overland at the time didn't have one. I don't think Pattville had one. I'm not sure. Well, it's mid-county now, but it used to be Wellston Fire
Yeah,
Department.
Wellston's ladder truck was there.
Oh, they had one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I couldn't tell you how many was there, but I was just told the city's here with a ladder truck.
Right.
And eventually I seen it, but
You
know,
said they had trouble getting it down. It wasn't.
yeah, I don't know what the deal was. I don't, unless this, the only thing I could figure was a spare ladder truck or one in reserve, and they put like a spare crew on there, and they just weren't that familiar with it. But yeah, it took somebody else to get it retracted.
And that was Leo.
That was Leo Willebrock, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see him do it now, but this is what I was told.
Yeah.
I think the city at the time, if I remember correctly, was the only one that had a ladder truck a ladder that would go high enough that would get them up on top of it where they could put water on top of it.
Yeah,
Right.
that could be because ours was 85, and it got up to the top up there, but you know, it couldn't get on the roof.
Well, with your truck then, did you end up doing any of the fighting that they were doing from the outside, putting water in through the windows?
Say that again?
With your truck, did you personally end up doing anything from outside where they were putting water through the windows?
No, not with our, no, because, well, we couldn't reach that with, you know, lines on the ground.
Okay.
If that's what you mean. No, we had to go up inside.
So you had to go up, when you were inside then, you had to go up 6 stories, I'm guessing through the steps, dragging hose with you.
Yeah,
From the
there was escalators. There wasn't regular steps. They had them there, but the escalators were the most convenient. And like I say, after a while, the water coming down them things was unreal. But there was water damage throughout the whole building.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, that's...
Do you remember then, did you go in through the front or have to go around to the back?
No, I never did get around to the back or
Okay.
the south side. We was on where the main entrance was, which was on the west side. And I never did get around to the back or the far back or the south side of the building. Never did get there.
Just lost my train of thought.
So that was the fire, probably the biggest fire ever in St. Louis County history.
It could have been. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Do you think of? I mean, you've been retired 30 years now. Do you just find yourself reflecting back on being there that week, or
not really.
not really?
Not that it was no big deal or anything, but I just, well, some guys, they get all, I love the fire service, but when I left. I'm not into all this other stuff too much. Not too much, not at all, really.
Right.
Now, one question we're asking everybody that we talk to, when they built that building back in the late 50s, they didn't put sprinklers in because they were afraid of, you know, pipe busting, sprinkler head,
Yeah.
something going bad,
Yeah.
and water damage to the records. What's your opinion?
What do you mean, should they have done that?
Yeah.
Well, the way it turned out, yeah. But I could understand that with, like I said, with all the papers. Now I think after that, what they salvaged, they put everything on what they call microfilm, I believe, something like that. Then it was all a lot smaller, condensed film, the way it was explained to me.
It's getting there. There were about 18 million files that were completely destroyed.
Yeah.
And there were about 7.5 million that have some degree of water, smoke, fire, mold damage. And when I was working there, I spent 16 years in their preservation lab. And so that's the stuff that we would work on, but we only worked on it as we got a request from a veteran. You know, I need a copy of what I got.
Yeah.
So we had things we could do to at least make those sometimes really scrunched up, crumbled up pieces of paper, get them to the point where they could be copied and then send the vet what he needed. But we only do it on about on a case-by-case basis. So we did an estimate one time that there's about 10 people in the building that work on those records. If we could do like start with burn record number 1 and work our way through burn record 7 million with 10 people working on them 8 hours a day, it would take about 550, 600 years.
Well, like I say, I'm just going by what I was told that they were not microfish. Does that sound right? Microfish?
Yeah, now they're at a point where they're putting some on not so much microfish anymore, because those are the like plastic things that are about this big, but they put them on microfilm. And microfilm, that can last, it's got a shelf life of like 500 years. But again, these things are only being done on a case-by-case basis.
I see. Somebody wants their records, why they fish them out of there.
Yeah. So at least, even though they totally lost 18 million, you know, there's 7 million there that, thanks to what you guys did, you know, there's still stuff out there that the veterans can get when they need to get their benefits.
Yeah, I never have checked. I don't know if my records went or if they were saved or what. I don't know. Fortunately, I never had need of them. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you.
Anything else you can think of?
No, I mean,
It was a dandy fire.
it was a dandy fire.
Who was on your vehicle that day? Were you asking earlier what other names? Like would Pete Gary had been with you at that time or no?
I couldn't tell you if he was even we were on the same shift. I couldn't tell you. I don't remember. I wished I could. But like I say, I'm not too sure what happened yesterday.
Pete Gary?
Yeah.
Was he kind of he was short?
No, he was big.
I'm thinking of a different Pete Gary.
Yeah, he passed away several years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I said an awful lot of guys that I'm sure was there at the time, they're all gone as far as I know. Or I sure haven't heard anything about them since I retired.
Yeah. That's why we're doing this now. Preserve these stories. 100 years from now, somebody will be able to see you.
Ask for your autograph.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, anything else?
No. Thank you very much for your time.
Well, no problem. I just feel bad that I couldn't be of more help.
It's no trouble at all. The guys that we've talked to so far, we've talked to them anywhere from 20 minutes, half an hour to hour and a half.
Oh, yeah. What guys from other departments or?
Yeah. Who we got so far? Terry Shaw, Bob Dick,
Bob Dick. Oh yeah.
Al Weedle, and
Al Weedell.
Weedell.
Olivet.
Yep. And Andy Klein. Talked to you the other day.
Andy Klein.
Yeah, wasn't Elmer with you for a short while up there?
No. Oh, I don't know if he was up there or not, but Elmer Klein, yeah, Andy Klein. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, he worked for Community. Then he went out to
Chesterfield.
I went out west, yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that name was familiar.
Let's see if this brings back any memories here. This is a listen up.
I can't understand that.
Okay. It's the
Dispatcher?
it's the dispatch. Of the,
Oh, yeah?
Record center's on fire.
I imagine they were pretty busy.
How the hell did you get that? You made that up at home just now.
well,
Yeah, they were
but
dispatching out of our number one house at that time.
right.
And dispatching for several departments, really.
There you go. No, I have actually, because remember Liz from North Central?
Yeah, we know her.
Yeah, okay. Liz had the cassette tapes of the whole fire. So years ago, I made copies of them, and now, I don't know, but now here we are doing this, so it's just kind of interesting to listen to, you know.
Yeah.
I'm going to find out too, because since we digitized that all those years ago, technology's improved now. So I got to get with my audio engineer.
That'd be
buddy
great,
and
because
say,
the quality
hey,
isn't.
you do anything else with
Yeah,
this?
as the quality isn't the best.
Yeah.
If you know what you're listening to, you can kind of make it out.
Yeah.
There was some old three cassette tapes that I got from Liz back in the 80s, and I just held on to them, and then all of a sudden here we are doing this project, so
Yeah, when did you talk to her last?
probably at her retirement party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think she got a little dementia or
She,
Alzheimer's or something, I think.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, if we're done, I'm going to turn this off.
Yep.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.